Capitalism is a colourful riot of banks, brands and businesses competing for our cash. We give them money, they give us the things we need or desire to make our lives easier and less miserable. That's the deal. But there's a problem. They hate you. And they don't seem to care if you know it. At some unidentified point in recent history, companies lost interest in simply selling things and decided it was their duty to change the way that you and I think. Someone somewhere said corporate board members of the world unite. And suddenly the people who sell you fizzy drinks and credit cards were also telling you that Black Lives Matter, that Pride Month is more important than Christmas, you're personally to blame for climate change because of your filthy carbon footprint, and so on and so on. This week, Coutts Bank, my own bank, was exposed for terminating Nigel Farage's account because of his divisive opinions, supposedly, and his stance on Brexit. Here's Dame Alison Rose, the CEO of NatWest, which owns Coutts.
The climate emergency is the biggest challenge that we're going to face. And as a bank and the leading bank in the UK, we have a real role to play. Clearly not enough money is going to female entrepreneurs, and there are too many barriers in their way to helping them succeed.
We have targets at our CEO-4 level right the way through the organisation to encourage all elements of diversity and inclusivity.
Well, apart from including, it seems, Nigel Farage. So her politics were pretty clear. I actually happen to agree with some of her causes and views, but I also wonder, what's that got to do with my bank? I disagree with Nigel Farage's opinions about many things, including Brexit, but I don't think he should be denied access to banking because of them. Does anybody? Well, Coutts has tonight grovelingly apologised to Nigel Farage and said NatWest will offer to find him alternative arrangements, but haven't offered him his account back at Coutts. The Treasury says it'll toughen up its rules to make sure this never happens again, but the reputational damage once again is done. It seems Orwellian that it ever happened in the first place. And when it comes to corporate wokery, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Ben & Jerry's, which sells ice cream in America, blamed the United States for the war in Ukraine. Earlier this month, it called for indigenous lands to be returned to indigenous people, before it emerged that its own HQ was built on land owned by, you guessed it, indigenous people. What's the lesson there, other than all this wokery tends to be based on hypocrisy? Well, maybe it's just stick to selling ice cream. Huh? Try that old trick. Bud Light must be wishing they'd stuck to selling beer. The drink of choice for millions of sports-loving working-class Americans, teamed up with trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney, who was a man till last year and now spends most of her time mocking women. America's favourite beer company decided that she would be the perfect person to sell their beer, and absolutely tanked their business because most of their consumers went, "What are you doing?" Well, that debacle has cost them $27 billion so far. The same thing you might remember happened to Gillette. We suddenly told all its male customers, including myself, that we were a bunch of Harvey Weinsteins until we could prove otherwise. They took an $8 billion write-down in value. It's corporate suicide. Or maybe it's Maybelline. The popular lipstick merchant last week decided to tell women they should aspire to be big, bald men with beards when they buy their lipstick. Really? Why? Why would you think that would work? Why is no one in your offices like me going, "What are you doing, you idiots?" We'll see how it goes. I can tell you how it's going to go. Probably not very well. Because most women don't buy lipstick because a big, bald, bearded bloke tells them to. Last month, Adidas chose a biologically male model, complete with visible bulge, to advertise a female swimming costume. Again, why would you do that? This week we discovered that Disney has abolished its Seven Dwarfs in a live-action remake of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The dwarves have been replaced by 7 magical creatures of varying shapes, sizes, ethnicities and genders. Actually, what that means is one dwarf actor is still in that film, about 7 dwarves, and the rest are average height people. So 6 dwarf actors lost work in a Hollywood blockbuster because of wokery. Disney also abolished its famous princes and princesses because they're gender stereotypes. Really? Can't we just have princes and princesses anymore? But it does now feature gay kisses and lots of diversity. Here's a Disney executive explaining why.
Our leadership over there has been so welcoming to my not at all secret gay. I was just wherever I could, just basically adding queerness to if you see anything queer in the show, I'm proud of them. But I just was no one would stop me, and no one was trying to stop me.
Why didn't someone stop you with you adding your queerness everywhere? I've got no problem with people being gay or trans or anything. Frankly, black, white, I don't care. I treat everyone the same. I expect them to treat me the same. But this stuff is utterly ridiculous. Why does Disney, which makes fairy tale cartoons and adventure stories for kids, why does it need a queerness agenda? I don't get it. And nor do the consumers. Disney's taken a huge hit as well recently. I'm not even right-wing. You wouldn't believe it from the way I get treated on Twitter. People call me a right-wing headbanger. I'm not right-wing at all. I used to edit the Daily Mirror newspaper. It's a left-wing newspaper. I think I'm sort of around the centre somewhere, really. Maybe slightly to the left. Although over the years, the left have got so nuts, I find myself sliding maybe slightly to the right. Maybe. Because the left has lost its mind. This woke stuff is insane. And everyone's getting sick and tired of it. Not least sick and tired of woke companies telling us every day that we're evil until we can prove otherwise. I just want to buy an ice cream. I love ice cream. Without dismantling the patriarchy, whatever that is.